Okay, so tonight we got a fuel cell in the shop. This is off of a derby car. Had a guy call me last night, said that he needed to get this going. There's a derby coming up close to town here, June 11th. They're trying to get their cars all ready. So what happened is, in the last derby that this fuel tank saw, I guess they really got their bell rung, and when the car hit them, it broke these supports on the back. It's pretty thin gauge stuff. There's 4 of them on here. These 2 are bent. We'll see if we can fix them. If we can't, we'll just weld some new ones on. But I've got to take the die grinder or zip disc, cut these off, buff that off, buff the paint off, get it all ready to weld out. So we've got a little aluminum TIG project tonight. Shouldn't take us too long. Let's get going. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to use a brand new flap disc and a brand new cutoff wheel. And you want to make sure that when you work with aluminum or stainless that you're not cross-contaminating your zip discs or your buffing wheels or whatever it is you're using. Make sure that you either use brand new or ones that you have only used on like metal, so that you don't get rust or carbon steel impregnated in whatever type of material you are working on, or you'll end up impregnating that metal with carbon steel and it eventually will rust. So we're going to use a brand new flap disc, brand new cutoff wheel, brand new zip disc, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to see if we can't just zip these welds and then buff them off. We're not going to damage the tank. We're just going to take the surface material, and then we've got to take and buff this paint off, and we're going to take this aluminum angle and get it welded on here like so. So let's go to that point. Okay, so we got this tank all cleaned up. As you can see, we've hit it with a flap disc. We haven't had to dig down into the base metal at all. I'm going to take a Scotch-Brite pad on my die grinder and hit that. Just gives it a little bit better finish, cleans it just a little bit more. Aluminum is really finicky when it comes to impurities, and so the cleaner you can get it, the easier it's going to be for you to weld. But one of the pains in the butt about aluminum is when you get impurities in it, you'll fight it. You won't get it to penetrate, you won't get it to blend together. It's just a nightmare. So the cleaner you can get your base metal, the better off you'll be. So we're going to see if we can't get that just a little bit more clean and go from there. Okay, so that's looking nice and clean. We're ready to get a measurement on this. I'm going to hold it back just a little bit so I get kind of an open corner here. I'm going to fill this up with weld. So I want this to be just right. Okay, I'm going to head over to the saw and cut this. Okay, so this is how we're going to do this. We got our piece cut. You can see we've got a little bit of an open corner there. So we're going to fill the sides up with weld here. So we'll weld it solid here. We're going to stitch weld on the top. So we don't want to weld this solid. That'll just put too much heat, and really it's probably unnecessary. We're going to weld it solid there, and then we'll probably do a stitch pattern on the bottom here. That should do it. Chances are if I go to bend these back, they're just going to snap off anyway. Aluminum is notorious for that, so I'm probably just going to cut those ones off and fix this side too. That way he won't have to bring it back again and have me fix it again. Not that I don't appreciate the business, but I kind of like to do things right the first time, so I'm hoping that'll fix it good enough that even if he does take a heck of a beating, he probably won't have to bring it back for that. Chances are if he breaks it this time, he'll just have to buy a new tank. So alright, we're going to get all set up. We're going to get the welder all set up and see if we can't get this welded out. Okay, so we got the welder all set up. We're going to try to get this knocked out now. Just some information for you. This tank is empty. I wouldn't try to weld it up otherwise. The guy that brought it to me, he drained it. It is vented in several spots, so I'm hoping that all the fuel is evaporated out. I've turned it upside down and checked it. There is in fact no fuel in it. The foam piece in the bottom that keeps the fuel from sloshing around, it is still in there. There is a chance it could be holding a little bit of moisture, a little bit of fuel. I'm hoping we don't get anything hot enough that it will cause it to ignite. If it does, it is vented. I'm going to pull the top off, so if it does, chances are it's just going to have a little flame shoot out there, but hopefully it doesn't get too western on us. So let's see if we can't singe some hair. Okay, so the old synchro wave's a little noisy. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. So we're welding this at about 100, well, we got the welder set about 125 amps. You shield it with argon. If you've never TIG welded aluminum, aluminum has to be TIG welded with AC current, not DC. DC current is used for welding mild steel, stainless steel, brazing, that sort of thing. So just some more information for you. So let's see if we can't get it knocked out. So we're using 332 aluminum rod, 4043, and I think that was all I was going to tell you. Okay, let's see if we can't get this done. Who needs eyebrows, right? going to lay out a stitch pattern here and some sort of a stitch pattern here. Okay, so I got that all welded out, and I was looking at these. I can already tell they've already started to crack, so I think I'm just going to cut them off. I've taken and built 2 more base plates for this, so went ahead and punched them. I'm just going to weld one on either side here. And then it should be good to go. So let's see if we can't get these cut off. Okay, we got those off. Now we're just going to clean these up, get them ready to weld. these welded on. For some reason, this side welded up a lot smoother than the other side. So he's gonna take it. I'm assuming he'll probably repaint it. I had to triple pass this middle one. As you can see, the tank is heated up. If it's out in the middle right here where it doesn't have support from the inside, sometimes it'll warp, and that's what happened there. It just warped a little bit. So I just ended up stacking 3 of them, and it's not going to hurt anything. I'm actually going to take and pressure test it now if I can. I have to see what kind of fittings I got, but I'll just blow it up with air, make sure it doesn't leak. Hopefully we shouldn't have any issues. I didn't blow through once welding that up, so I really don't think there's an issue, but double check it just to see. All right, well, that's gonna wrap up the tank. So we were able to pressure test it. I had Slick Willie behind the camera plug this one with his finger. I plugged this one and I blew the air in from this side. We checked everywhere we welded and it was good. The only place we did find air leaking was right here where the cap is, and that's pretty normal considering what's going on here. So I think it's good. We'll call the customer, have him come pick it up. So it's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Okay, so tonight we've got a fuel cell here out of a derby car, and the guy called me up last night, asked me if I could weld aluminum. My buddy referred him to me. Okay, so tonight we got a fuel cell in the shop. This is off of a derby car. Had a guy call me last night, said that he needed to get this going. There's a derby coming up close to town here, June 11th. They're trying to get their cars all ready, so I'm hoping that everything that was left in there is evaporated. The piece of foam down in the bottom is still in there to keep the tank from sloshing around, or to keep the fuel from... Okay, so I got the welder all set up, and I'm just getting ready to get this going. I don't know what I'm saying.